Good afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Assessors meeting. We're here at 382 North Main Street on Wednesday, November 6th at 4:30. In attendance is board members Hayden Smith, Marilyn Gandini, Chairman Martin Grudgeon, Board of Directors Diane Bishop, and Assistant Carrie Ann. In accordance with MGL Chapter 38, Section 20, LCAT is taping our meeting today. No one else is in attendance, and we tape our own meetings. LCAT is videotaping our meeting. We have a review of minutes from two board members, one from August 21st and one from September 25th from Marilyn and Hayden.
Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the minutes from our meeting of August 21st. I find them to be in order and move that they be accepted.
No discussion. We get a second on acceptance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And September 25th?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the minutes from our September 25th meeting, and I think that we should accept them.
Right, no discussion on that. We get a second on that.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We got some administrative items. We got a warrant for fiscal 25 boat excise commitment number 1 in an amount of $2,116
Thank you.
for that. A couple more reports. Motor vehicle excise abatement 2024 for September, amount of $3,006.10.
Thank you.
Motor vehicle excise abatements from 2023 and 2024 for October in the amount of $6,335.65. And we have an uncollectible motor vehicle excise abatement for September, an amount of $2,866.45. A large amount, isn't it?
That's the one that the town, or the assessors voted to consider uncollectible,
Okay.
to clear the levy, but they remain marked at the registry, and this is for calendar year
Okay.
2012.
2012. Man, keeps on going. Fiscal 19 personal property is that? Abatement report for the month of September of $50,000.
And Mr. Chairman, we have the fiscal 19 and the fiscal
20.
20 in the same amount.
Same amount.
Based on our ATB settlement.
Is that from solar?
Yes.
Love that solar, don't you? Not. Fiscal 22 real estate abatement report for the month of September, $6,293.96 for the CPA of $42.65.
And this is a result of an ATB decision on behalf of the taxpayer.
And a fiscal 23 real estate abatement report for the month of September, $6,247.68, CPA of $43.28.
And that was for the same one, it was a 2-year appellate tax board.
Okay. And notice accountant for October for some of that stuff, $2,116.
And that was for the boat excise that you just signed the commitment on.
Okay.
Thank you.
And now we have the LA3 sales report, which I did not have time to look at, so I shall look now.
So the very first one on there really should be coded out as a letter O, because there was improvements after the assessment date
New construction?
Yeah, it was one of the condos, so it was assessed at like 50% complete, and it sold for full price. Naturally, because it was complete.
Had a couple more in the 90s lately, still some in the 80s. The .73 was really, really a high sale for that home and area. Land sale, a lot of sales, huh?
Yeah, so you're looking at September, and then
Oh,
you're also
October,
looking
okay.
at
Yeah.
October.
Okay, thank you. Kind of a mixed bag, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if anyone knows anything about the sale. It would be like 5 from the bottom. It's a 1.03.
I know everything about that
Okay,
sale.
maybe you could share at a later date.
Yeah,
Um,
yep. But not an open session.
Right.
That's it. Although, the one with a W,
The one with a W, yes, that was at Benton Estates, and that is restricted to
Right.
moderate income.
but it still was not a normal number. Very odd, because I know it's a 30/70, and just saying.
This is this is what well, it's written in their deed rider what they can sell it for. And then there is also an amount that has to be raised for the state to have like a restocking fee when they do MLSs and what have you. I'd be happy to show you the deed rider.
Oh, wow.
You
I
can.
just thought it was always 70% of market.
No, it's not. And I'd be happy, like I said, I have them on file. I have them PDF'd, so
Wow, I
can.
gotta see that.
Sure, I will make sure
I thought they made a big mistake there, but maybe not.
Deed writer.
That's it. Any questions on any sales, Hayden, Marilyn?
Nope.
No.
Okay. That's it for the sales for 2 months. Now we move on to the building report. Building permits for the month of September, October.
So we were not able to get October's in as of yet. They started to get entered. We received it yesterday or today? Monday. And then today we lost internet, so we couldn't use
Oh, okay.
Vision and kind of like, so they'll be available at our next meeting for October. But for September, we do have 2 new dwellings, and it's bringing our year to date to 21.
That's good, way over last year, by a lot.
And Carrie Ann and I went out to do an inspection on a house that is in the process of being completed. It just went up for sale. And on our way back, we stopped off at Happy Acres, and we have seen there's 3 houses that are under construction and 2 foundations already.
Yep.
So 5
I've been in there too.
going.
They're going fast. The weather's been perfect, it never rained, so all the subdivisions are going strong. Everyone's building fast.
That's a good point. Really good weather.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
The one in Parker is going fast.
I haven't been by there. I think last time I saw 1 house and 1 foundation. Is there more?
No, there's 2 framed.
Oh, wow.
And it's just a husband and wife from Canada framing.
Yeah, they do the
Wow.
framing, yeah.
Just
it's
2
true.
of
It's
them,
a
husband and wife.
Husband and wife do
Wow.
all the framing.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's it for building permits. Now, director's update.
Okay, so beginning November 1st, which was this past Friday, we started accepting the fiscal '25 exemption applications. The deadline for it is April 1st, 2025, but the sooner people get them into our office, the more likely they'll see the exemption on their tax bill. Applications are on our town website, and if somebody does not want to get it from there, they're more than welcome to give us a call. We'll mail it, we'll email it, or they can pick it up and or drop it off. And if they do, we are located now at 382 North Main Street. People are still going, when did you move here?
Yeah, okay.
Suite 205, second floor, and there is an elevator. Just as a reminder, tax payments still go to the collector's office, and they are still back at 60 Center Square. Our FY26 chapter land applications, we are now in the application period. Anyone who has land classified under agricultural, recreation, or potentially applying for a new forest management plan, the annual application is due December 1st, but knowing December 1st is a Sunday, they have until the end of the business day on December 2nd. Again, our office has moved, and if they need any forms or any assistance, we're here to help. And our FY25 tax classification hearing is scheduled. As the board knows, all of our values, everything was approved, so now we can move forward with our tax classification hearing. It's going to be held on Tuesday, November 12th, and time is not set in stone. There is a public hearing at 6:15, and we're following that public hearing, so I'm guesstimating about 6:30, depending on how quickly the public hearing at 6:15 moves along. And then the purpose of this public hearing is to determine the percentage of tax levy to be borne by each class of real or personal property for fiscal '25. A little bit later, we are going to be just reviewing the presentation as we've done in the past, and if any board member has a question, edits, comments, please feel free at that point to jump right in and make us look good when we present it.
All right. Great, thanks for that, Diane.
You're welcome.
Moving out right along to Crumbling Foundation Policy Review Clarification.
So this has been on our agenda for a couple of times, and I know that some board members wanted to research. We were looking to add one line to our policy that states that the total depreciation applied to a home confirmed with crumbling foundation shall not drop below the 75% depreciation level unless it is a level E, which would be 100%. So typically we take the physical depreciation of the home and then the percentage that we give a house based on the level that it was determined for our crumbling foundation, and we were finding that some homes, by doing that, were like 3%, 2%, and we know that it is a home that they can still live in. The home is not falling down, it's not 2% worth of...
What she's saying, if we kept going, it could be actually a negative.
A negative.
But that's now how it works. We redid it, so it can't be a negative. Because the home depreciates every year, and if it went on for 30 years, it almost could be a negative, but it can't be.
And so,
especially if you're living in it, it's not a condemned home.
Right, so a person who has it and they have been given a 75% depreciation based on crumbling foundation, that will be the maximum that their home will be depreciated, and they'll be paying on a 25% of home value. And so that was the clarification. I also had attached a spreadsheet of the homes that we currently have with crumbling foundations, and the three that were highlighted, you can see our older homes that have the crumbling foundation, and those homes, the depreciation is so low that it will be going into a negative number, which you can't have a negative assessed value. And so with that, if the board is in agreement with this change to our crumbling foundation policy, I would appreciate a vote to include that language, and it can be revised. Nothing else changes in the policy.
Sure, make a motion to accept our new revision agreement for Crumbling Foundation for depreciation of 75% with the exception of level E. Any discussion on that? You want to get a second on that?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And I will update this and make sure it is on our website.
Okay, now we have a couple reports for fiscal 25 valuation. This is the final sales report.
So the fiscal 25 valuations, all of the reports that the board signed off at their last meeting, which would have been our LA3 sales report, LA15 interim adjustment report, LA13 new growth, and LA4 total values. They were all approved with the exception of new growth. New growth, they reduced us by $523 because for any utility companies, we can claim QUIP, construction work in progress, but apparently for telephone companies, you can't claim QUIP. And there was the QUIP that I was including that states right on the state reports equaled $523. So I was like, hey, you know, if that's the way it is.
When you say they reduced it, you mean the state reduced it?
Yes. So they wouldn't approve our growth unless it got reduced. So they unlocked the form and I had to go in and edit it. And so we got $523 less. But we still did see $551,359 in new growth this year, which was
Not bad for
not having a whole
not
lot of
having many
construction.
homes built for sure. It'll be a lot higher
Yeah.
next year. And the year after, I believe. Okay, nothing to sign on that?
Nope.
Okay, moving on, tax classification, hearing, presentation. I don't have it in front of me, but I did read it. Thank you, Carrie Ann.
Oh.
Carrie Ann.
So it is on your computers if anyone
Yeah.
would like to see it. My conversation just very late this afternoon with Jeannie, I was asking what her verbiage would be when they, you know how they always say, Jeannie, could you read into, you know, what was in the paper? So our papers say notice of hearing. We're going to be changing it to notice of meeting. And so I'm just changing page 2, the language ever so slightly because
Okay.
we no longer have to have a legal notice. We just have to have a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors and the Town Council. So anywhere where it said hearing, I'm editing it to say meeting, but no other numbers have changed throughout this. So Kim, our municipal finance director, and I have finished working on the recap. And if you look on the fiscal year 25 summary of tax rate options, I think it's like page 6 in, you will see where the tax factor is with residential compared to commercial, industrial, and personal property. And if you go over to the far right, you can see what the projected tax rate will be.
And Hayden, if you have any questions on this.
Does this go in the reminder as well, or just the notice?
The notice used to go in the reminder, but they made changes to the way that we have to publicize this meeting. It's not a legal notice, so it will not be going in the reminder. I am going to put this entire spreadsheet or the packet on the town website, on the main page, in case if anyone wants to have it in front of them when we're going through it next week. But you can see that our values have been pretty consistent between residential and commercial, industrial, and personal property throughout the years. If we did decide to shift the tax rate from a factor of 1, meaning one tax rate for all properties, to the maximum of 1.5, shifting to the commercial, industrial, and personal property, the average assessed value will go up, their tax bill will go up like $8,800. Because we have so many residential properties in our town, that taxpayers would see a savings of potentially $711 for an average single-family home. So the goal is to try to keep all of our commercials in town. And I looked at one of our largest commercial properties that sits out on Shaker Road, and if it did shift the tax rate 1.5, they would see almost a $280,000 increase in their taxes.
Yep, a little too much.
Because of the shift. So, but that's something that everyone.
So for Hayden, someone from the Chamber of Commerce may come and
Yeah,
make a suggestion to keep it at
one
Right.
rate, they always do.
that one.
But that's a big difference, really. That's like a $700
Someone might argue that
a year difference.
next year when school taxes come out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Not this year. Maybe next year. Let's see.
So it also goes through comparable value municipalities similar to
COVID?
ours. No, I came down with a
You came down with
sneezies
it during the
today.
meeting.
No, it was just this morning. I came in feeling fine and I came down with a cold during the day. Residential exemption and small commercial exemption, pretty much the same as what we've explained in the prior year. Naturally, I am available if any board member has any questions or concerns or needs more information. But we will be presenting this to the town council next Tuesday. At that meeting, I have high hopes that they will do all of their voting, and then I would like the Board of Assessors to be able to sign off on all the documents in the DSL gateway, so the next day we can get the tax rate recap submitted into DSL gateway and hopefully get approval within a couple of days so we have an actual tax rate.
All right.
So
Great.
when we
Any questions on the tax meeting verbiage? Hayden or Marilyn?
No, I reviewed that, it looks fine. So you want us there between 6:15 and 6:30 or earlier?
Earlier.
So we
Yeah, that was actually my only question, was were we still gonna meet prior to the meeting?
At the senior center, we have our own room before we go in the main room.
Perfect.
and we have it set at 5:45.
At 5:45, yeah.
Right.
We'll just be hanging out.
Yeah.
So I was asked by our town manager, Tom Christensen, that he wanted me to bring up, after the tax classification hearing was complete, the new exemptions that have been put forth through the Harrows Act. And naturally, they will not take place until fiscal '26. But they could go anywhere between a 1% increase over what they're getting now, up to 100% increase. As an example, a $400 veterans exemption, if we went the full 100%, they could get $800 a year. I expressed to Tom that we just need to be, it's a great thing to do, but we need to have the funding source to be able to do that, and so that has to be considered by the town. And I have determined the additional amount that the town would have to fund, and I'm going to present that
Okay.
if the town council will allow us that additional time. If not, I told Tom I would meet with them, the town council, at any time. It's a perfect time to discuss that our overlay would need to be funded a larger amount if this was to go into effect.
Like how much?
$110,200,
Plus or minus?
and that is if we also considered raising the senior exemption. So the senior exemption is $500, and it's still $500, has been $500 since the 80s.
Oh, okay.
And I am of the mindset that if you are looking at raising veterans and doubling it, and the seniors have never seen any increase, other than their income and assets, they can earn a little bit more to qualify for the 500. We discussed this last year because we knew that the governor was increasing the senior circuit breaker.
Right.
And this year, the senior circuit breaker was $2,590 max, and we thought with our 500 and this senior circuit breaker, it wouldn't be a total burden on the town. The state would be able to take some of that resource. Any of these local acceptance or local options, we do not get reimbursed for. So it is from the generosity of the town to be able to provide that. So, but I am going to present it, and that was this little sheet with yellow and blue. I did ask Carrie Ann as we started accepting exemptions, and we're basing this on fiscal 24's starting information. We already had 6 new veterans this year.
Okay.
So that number is just based on fiscal 24.
And the tax credit is on your tax return, correct?
The senior circuit breaker, yes.
Yeah. State tax return.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I know people used it. Great.
And I added in one item
Yeah.
called 6A. I'm thinking only Marty may recall this because it happened 10 years ago.
Wow. I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I was a teenager.
But in fiscal 2005, which is like 20 years ago,
Okay.
this office did 19 supplemental tax bills. A supplemental tax bill is money per diem in addition to what their taxes were originally sent because they completed a home.
Okay.
19 people received tax bills. We ran into an issue. That was the year we converted to Munis, the collection software. They were done outside of the Munis software system. Regular tax bills were done within the Munis system. I do not know why, the collector does not know why, neither of us were here in 2005.
Right.
The auditors discovered that there's outstanding balances back in 2013. And so they asked the assessors at the time, the Board of Assessors, to write off these taxes. So there's no way that we can just write off taxes.
Right. Gotta look at it.
We have no jurisdiction, so we cannot do it.
Who asked you to write them off?
The tax collector, because the auditors had said, have the assessors write it off. At that time, the board said these were valid assessments, and they would not even consider writing anything off.
Okay.
Not our jurisdiction, but there is an avenue in the law, it's called Section 8 of 58, where you can request the Commissioner of Revenue to give you your permission back. We have had some successes, and we've had some, hey, the people should have known. So we said no. I don't remember it until I looked back at our
Right.
minutes.
Mhm.
We were again asked last month to write off these taxes now 20 years later.
Yeah.
So back in 2014, they did send letters to everyone who they believed did not pay because there was no proof in the collection system. And a good many of them, 10 years later, still had proof that they paid.
Wow.
And so those, we know
Mhm.
that they paid, it just wasn't in the system,
Right.
and there was no check and balance because of the conversion of the software. There are 3 properties that the same issue has come, that's continuing. And I, after sitting down with the collector and her showing me how people were providing documentation, and some people said, I checked with my accountant, we don't have to keep records this long. I
Right.
don't have any
Right.
proof.
Right.
It's 20 years later. So I am looking to see if the board would allow me to try to write 8 of 58s, which would be providing information to the Commissioner of Revenue to see if he would allow us to abate due to this unique situation. There's a
Yeah.
good possibility these people did pay.
How much money is it?
I was gonna
It's,
ask.
I was gonna say it's under $5,000. It's not a huge amount.
Right.
It was everyone's second payment.
Mhm.
For some reason, first payments, they,
3 addresses there.
Are they all the same owners that were? No.
No.
Yeah, so that's,
yeah, I'm sorry. Ouch. So this was our original, and this was the commitment book, and
What the heck?
anything that says abate is what they're hoping that we will,
So
Right.
there's 3 of them?
yes. Well, there was 19 that were processed. And it was amazing that, 10 years after the fact, that people actually was able to provide information.
Really?
I don't know if I would have been able to provide,
Right.
a canceled check.
last year.
Somebody actually received an abatement and had their abatement certificate.
Wow.
And then the difference, so it's not a huge,
Sure, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Yep,
not a
If
huge.
that's all it is, yeah.
yep.
So
Send
I-
it to the commissioner.
Okay, and I will be writing on behalf of the Board of
All
Assessors.
3 of us.
Yeah.
Unless Hayden wants to pay their taxes.
No, I'm fine with it.
And if they say no, I think they have to sit on the books forever, because if
Yeah.
someone can't prove it, and we
Right.
don't have the jurisdiction,
Right.
there's nothing we can do, but at
Just-
least we can try to make an attempt.
Right.
Wow.
But I didn't want to do it after the board, 10 years ago, the board said no, so I didn't want to just do it on my own.
So every 10 years we say no. Except today we say yes, abate.
So
Yeah, I
then,
remember that meeting. You were very argumentative.
I was? How could you remember that meeting?
You weren't the assessor 10 years ago, were you?
Yes.
You were?
Yeah.
How long have you been the assessor?
I've been here since 2009. Marty's been a year longer than me.
Really?
Yep.
I remember when you were with Landry Lyons and White, and
I
you
know, you
said
said
you
that-
were gonna run for assessor because you have to be voted in, right?
I was voted in.
No, but you were elected.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
You weren't appointed, you were elected.
Yeah, we're
I
elected.
remember you saying you were gonna run for assessor.
And that's all I have for open session.
great. I think that's it. Make a motion to go into executive session, discuss motor vehicle excise and boat abatements, an abatement application, and an ATV update. We'll only return to open and record our votes. Take a roll call vote. Hayden Smith,
Aye.
Marilyn Gadini,
Yes.
Martin Grudgeon, yes.